Hey there, thank you for joining me for today's practice. My name is Paula. So today is a gentle practice. We're going to start in a seated position, either with a block or a cushion, anything that you have to elevate your hips a little bit so you can stay comfortable in a seated position for the first part of the practice. We're going to be working on a little bit of a meditation at the beginning, connecting to ourselves, connecting to our intention, and then we will move through some yin style postures, which won't be too long as well. So we're not going to hold the postures as long as we would in a yin session usually. So make sure you're nice and comfortable and have your block or your cushion and start to make your way into your comfortable seat, whether that's in this Sukhasana, or maybe you prefer to have your shin bones down, whatever feels right for you. I'm going to explain a mudra that we're going to use in this seated meditation, which we will start with our eyes closed, and then eventually I'll invite you to engage with this mudra or bring it in. It's called a Sankalpa mudra, and we bring the left hand onto the right thigh and then clasp the right hand over the left. And you just want to have a sense of just firmly holding that left hand, not too tight, but just sealing the right hand into the left. And we'll use this when we come to our Sankalpa. It's a sense of really making that commitment to ourselves when we work with our intention. So you might just like to give it a little bit of a practice. So left hand, right hand sealing on top. Then when you're ready, you can just release that and find your seat. When you're ready, closing down the eyes. Making any little adjustments that you need to settle into stillness. Feeling into the sitting bones, down into the block. Picturing the length of the spine from the tailbone, sacrum, lower back, middle back, upper back, neck. Energy up and out through the crown of the head. And then start to bring your attention to sounds. So sound of my voice and the sounds in the space that you're in. And then begin to expand that sense of listening to the sounds that are just outside your room, maybe just outside the house or the apartment that you're in. And expanding that sense of listening to a street away. Just noticing, what can you hear? And then continuing to expand that field of listening to a couple of streets away. And there's no need to search for the sounds, and you don't need to know what the sound is. And then continuing to expand that field of listening, imagining what's the furthest sound that you can hear. And then start to bring in that field of listening to just a couple of streets away again. To just a street away. to just outside the space that you're in. Coming back to the sounds of the room that you're in. And then coming to the sounds of your own body and your own breath. You may not be able to hear your breath. Just a sense of listening in to the sounds of your own body. Right in this very moment. Starting to notice the breath just coming in and out through the nose. Maybe there's space to lengthen into the inhale and slow down the exhale. And in a few moments, start to find your Sankalpa Mudra, that left hand on top of the right thigh and then sealing the right hand on top of the left. That gentle clasp. And then start to bring to mind your Sankalpa, that deep wish for yourself, how you want to live your life, what can guide you. And as you do this, have a bit of awareness around your heart center, the Anahata chakra. What's truly alive for you. And once you have that, repeat it to yourself 3 times. And then once you have completed that, you can gently release your mudra, releasing the hands out, resting the hands down on the thighs, however it feels comfortable to do so. And continue to gently follow the breathing in and out through the nose. You may be noticing some sensation as you inhale at the tip of the nose and as you exhale. Or maybe you can contact more of the belly expanding and falling back in. Just for a little bit longer, and staying with the breath, either anchored to the tip of the nose or anchored to the sensation in the belly. And then in your own time, starting to let that go, blinking open the eyes, making your way off your cushion or your block. Coming over into your tabletop position, wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, and taking a couple of rounds of your cat-cow, arching through the spine, drawing the chest forward as you anchor down through the tops of the feet, and then as you exhale, pressing the ground away, lifting the front of the body towards the back body, and then inhaling to arch, and exhaling to find your cat in your own breath cycle, continuing here for another couple of rounds. And then making your way back into your neutral spine. Take the right arm up towards the ceiling, looking up towards the right hand, inhale. And then as you exhale, threading that right arm under, resting down onto the right shoulder and walking this left hand forward towards the top of the mat. Pressing down through the outside of that right arm to try to turn the shoulders towards the left. And maybe if you'd like to, you can just wrap this right arm behind you, reaching for the side of the waist or towards that right thigh. You might like to close the eyes, just finding your breathing. And gently release that back hand underneath the right shoulder and press yourself back up into your tabletop. Taking that left arm now up towards the ceiling, inhale, and then exhale, threading it under, resting down onto that right shoulder, walking that right hand up towards the top of the mat. Thinking about drawing that right hip crease away from the right hand. And option here to wrap that right arm behind you. Trying to peel open that right shoulder towards the side. Open breathing. And then gently release that right hand back down. Press yourself back up into your tabletop position. Make sure you have enough space in front of you. Start to walk your hands forward, keeping the hips over the knees. So coming into your Anahata Asana, either chin or forehead down. Sealing down through the palms of the hands. Imagine trying to wrap the armpits interface one another. So we're trying to broaden across the upper back. And that external rotation through the upper arms. And that chest rest, reaching down towards the mat. And then starting to make your way all the way down onto your belly. So lifting up slightly so you can rest all the way down. Stacking one hand on top of the other, finding your crocodile pose. Resting down onto the front body. Lifting the shin bones up and then taking your windscreen wipe right and left with the legs just to release off the hips. And then coming back to center, extending the legs back out. Coming into your Sphinx position here, taking this right arm out, coming into your open wing, turning the head to the left and using that left hand to roll yourself over onto the right side of the body. Make sure you haven't drawn that right elbow down, tucking in beside you. You want to keep that right elbow slightly higher or in line with that right shoulder. And then just holding it here. Opening up into the front of that right chest and right shoulder. Feeling free to close down the eyes. Connect with your breathing. Noticing if there's anywhere that can soften. And in your own time, just rolling onto the belly. If you need to take a moment in between sides, feel really free to take a little rest. Otherwise, bring the arms back into your Sphinx and then taking that left arm out, turning the head to the right, rolling over onto the left side of the body. Just find the breath. Really tuning into that left shoulder socket. You want to have a little bit of a press through the inner edge of that left arm just to protect that left shoulder socket. Listening in for any space that might start to open up or any softening in other parts of the body. Letting go of any sense of striving here, nowhere to get to. Just allowing yourself to be right here. And then in your own time, gently rolling back onto the belly. Just turning the head to the opposite side. Let both arms just relax down for a moment. Big toes together. Sense of letting go and softening here. And then bring the forearms forward, finding your Sphinx once again. Elbows underneath the shoulders. Feet pointing back. So feeling free to stay here in your Sphinx. If you would like to extend up into your seal, just turn the hands so they're pointing slightly out on a diagonal and then starting to press into the hands, pressing the shoulders away from the ears. A little bit of engagement through the glutes, reaching the tailbone back. And if you've come into your seal and actually it feels like it's not right for you, you can always come back down into Sphinx. A little bit of energy up and out through the crown of the head. Just find the breath. If there's space and you want to bring the hands a bit close towards you, you might like to have a little bit of a play with that. And then in your own time, just starting to make your way back down onto your belly. Finding your crocodile, resting the head down, relaxing the legs completely. Hands underneath the shoulders. Press yourself back towards your heels, coming up into a seated position and then sitting over to one side, taking the legs out in front of you. We're going to come into our forward fold here. If you need to bend the knees slightly, then feel free to do that. Or if you have a strap, you could use a strap. Otherwise, take those arms up, taking an inhale, reach up, and then exhale, just very gently coming forward. We've been really working with opening up through the front of the body and opening up through the chest and the upper back. So coming into a forward fold may feel a bit tender at first, so just really take your own time. If there's space and the legs are straight, you might be trying to press down through the backs of the legs. Just with each exhale, noticing if there's any space to soften. Taking one more full breath here, inhaling. Staying for the exhale. And then inhale, coming all the way back up. We're going to set up for our Shavasana. So if you need anything here, if you want to pop something warmer on, something underneath the knees, feeling free to make yourself as comfortable as you can. Once you're down on your back, we're just going to start with the left hand over the heart center, right hand on the belly, breathing into the hands. Noticing if the hands feel supportive here on the belly and the heart. And you may like to recall your sankalpa from the beginning of the practice. And repeating it to yourself 3 times, once again, in the present tense. And then once you're ready, release the hands down, palms facing up. With each exhale, allowing the body to get a little bit heavier and a little bit softer. And allowing yourself to come to complete rest. Feel really free to stay resting here for as long as you need to. Thank you so much for joining me for today's practice. Namaste.